Hello everyone, Chris here again. Had a lot of inspiration at the Peter Gabriel concert. Creativity was pretty high for me for some reason. So I came up with an idea for another video series, and this one is going to be a little more special interests oriented, I guess, is the best way to put it. My first video series was pretty fun to do, and people enjoyed it, which was great. I get a lot of positive feedback, which was great. And I think that one kind of led me into doing this. So the first one was called What's on My Van. This one's going to be called What's on My Mind. And it'll be fun. We'll take a look at doing a couple of cool things. All right, the moment has come. I'm about 15 seconds away from their house, just down the street here. This should be a very exciting event. At the very least, it's something that I've never done before and I have no experience with, which is pretty cool. So let's see what happens. Oh my God, hi. All right, here we are, episode 1 of What's on My Mind. And today's episode, the icebreaker, is going to be to introduce some good friends of mine. This is Steve and Claire. Hello. And they are bee people. Yes, you heard that right. Bee people. So we're going to get into this in just a few minutes. All right, so Steve and Claire, they have not been doing this very long. So it's been months?
Months.
Just months doing this beekeeping thing. And why did you want to get into dealing with bees?
Mainly it came from the need for someone to pollinate our vegetable gardens.
Oh.
We noticed a serious lack of pollinators in our own yard in the past couple of years. And we figured we couldn't do chickens yet, so bees sounded like the next logical explanation. Yeah, option. Next best option.
You're not trying to say that chickens will pollinate your vegetables?
No.
Okay.
But we really wanted to do chickens.
We wanted to do chickens too.
Okay, so if I want to piss off my neighbors, do I want chickens or do I want bees?
Both.
That's coming up next year. So you've had some fun experiences so far. Has there been any funty? Geez. What's up, newbie? Have you had any fun episodes with these bees?
Day one.
What happened on day one?
Day one, we brought the bees home. We were planning on starting with a single hive. Brought them home. we were told by the place we bought them from that that the bees were doing very well, but they needed to be put into their hive immediately. We got them home. We were going to let them orientate themselves for a couple hours before we did that. We left the house for about an hour, came home, and realized half of the bees were in the tree.
Oh no.
They swarmed immediately. So,
being new beekeepers, we were told just to let them go. We decided we really didn't want to do that, and we had enough equipment to make a second hive that day. So we learned very quickly to
gonna catch our first one.
That sounds pretty exciting.
It really was.
Involved a 10-foot ladder, a 5-gallon bucket, and a lot of luck. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of luck.
And Steve and Claire were nice enough to give me that video, which I'll pop in here. But Claire, I heard that you got the brunt of the bee shower.
Yes, I got a bee shower. I was holding the ladder. I mean, Steve really did all the work with the bucket and got up there. And I held the ladder. And as soon as he shook that branch,
I can't wait to see that video.
bees. Thank goodness for a bee suit.
That is awesome. So this leads me to my next question. What are you going to do with the honey?
Well, unfortunately this year we're not going to have any honey for ourselves. That will come in the spring if the bees make it through the winter. Honey for ourselves will, yeah.
Maybe someday down the line if we get enough of it, maybe we can start selling it. But for right now,
All right, so this begs me to my next question. You got them for a reason. I'm assuming that's honey. Is that correct?
that's
Honey.
one of the reasons.
Yeah, honey's definitely a secondary.
Okay.
It's just more of a fun experience for us to do. There's always nothing to do weird, quirky things.
I could definitely see that, and that really struck a tone with me when you said it was for pollinating your garden, because I know you guys spend a lot of time on your garden, and it was fantastic. All right, so Steve's going to start up the smoker. It looks like just cotton washcloth they're burning there.
Yep. A little newspaper to get it going. A little unprocessed fabric.
Steve just likes this because there's fire involved, so.
Of course.
While he's getting that lit, Steve was just telling me that the reasons for the smoker are twofold. One, it masks the scent of the pheromones that the bees will give out, saying that there's trouble at the hive. So that kind of keeps them a bit calm that way because they don't know what's going on. And the second is that they think there's a fire, so they start to gorge themselves on the honey, like a preventative thing, so they could be safe. And so they are more paying attention to having a good meal rather than whatever the humans are doing outside. All right, we're just sitting here drinking some of Claire's awesome coffee and telling bee jokes. I just said it would not be becoming to have bees inside of my suit, which got a hearty laugh. Probably not from you guys, but Claire did, so I appreciate that. We have a bee emergency. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of hair, Steve.
My hair is stuck.
So while they're figuring out this hair problem, can you guys tell me what happens to the bees during the winter?
I can. The bees will literally, they don't hibernate per se, but they will not leave the hive unless needed to. Occasional nice days they'll leave to clean the hive, aka get all the poop out of the hive.
Really?
And any bees that have perished in the time.
They just shoot them out the front door?
Shoot them out the front door
No kidding.
as quick as they can. And then they also will stay clustered as a gigantic basketball and try to maintain keeping the queen warm and keeping the honey reserves warm enough that they can actually, it'll flow so they can eat it. If it freezes, they're done for. They can't eat the honey. So they'll just cluster in a basketball and take turns circling in and out from the inner to the outer parts of the circle.
Wow. That sounds like a monumental task here in Buffalo, where it can get freaking cold in the winter here.
Sure can.
Now, another fun fact that these fine folks are telling me is that bees are very crafty individuals, and they will look for any tiny hole to try to get to. That's why these bee suits are so intricate with their Velcro and their zippers and all kinds of flaps and these gloves that I was comparing to evening gloves because they're very, very sexy and sultry. But, it's all for a purpose.
Covered in
Propolis and bee
propolis.
poop.
There you have it. Okay, if you've ever wondered what it would be like to put on a bee suit, this is the view that you're going to have. Kind of interesting.
Pretty? A little bit by that?
I can hear them, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Steve's going in.
Fill the top with slotted boards.
I hope that came through the...
on the
Oh, there's tons of bees in here.
on our
On the goldenrod.
goldenrod here.
Hey, buddy.
That's a bumble.
These are from your hive?
The bumblebees are not, but the right here, these are honeybees right here.
They're
The little
smaller.
guys. Yeah, they're little guys.
So cool. I hope that came through on the microphone when I stuck the camera really close to the hive because you can really hear the buzzing. All right, so I touched on this before, but I got to ask, your neighbors, were they cool with this endeavor?
Yes, the two on the sides. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really ask everybody, but so far so good.
You'll figure it out.
Yep. They really haven't been a problem, and I don't think they're bothering anybody. So
Not that you know of.
not that I know of.
Much like Batman has his bat tools, Steve has got his bee tools.
Bee tools.
So what are those? The bee scrapers?
So each one of these has a specific use. They're both could be used interchangeably, but this one we typically use to get the boxes apart.
Okay.
It's just a nice flat, gives you a little something to jab up against you in case you gotta break it, because they will seal all these boxes with propolis. This one we use more once we get into the hive, mainly because of the J hook.
Uh-huh.
It really helps pick up frames
Gotcha.
or break them
Leverage.
apart. You'll see that once we get in there.
Because they're pretty well stuck together too.
Now, I'm not a scientist and I don't have much college behind me, but what was that word you used that they...
Propolis
Propolis, what is that?
is literally bee glue.
Bee
You can
glue.
see it all right here.
And I have to say that this is a little bit intimidating to be so close to a beehive.
Yeah, but you got the super suit on. You got the bee suit. I feel invincible in this bee suit.
So we have up here, this was just an empty box with our feeder in there, because this time of the year we're feeding them.
That's what the blue thing is.
Yep.
And that's just like a sugar water?
Sugar water, yep.
Yeah, there's not as much that they're out foraging for right now because it's fall, so we're supplementing a little bit.
In fact, they ate it all already. It's gone.
Wow.
That was fast. Okay, I'll take our
I'm gonna shake some off. You got it? Did I figure it out? I'm not exaggerating. This is tough.
Well, I could tell by the force you're using to open that.
Mainly, it's also because this hive also loves to build comb on this inner cover. So I am fighting the propolis. I'm literally ripping comb apart as I'm doing this.
The other hive does not do that?
Not as much. Each hive is a...
That's propolis, right?
Yeah, this is propolis. Waxy, sticky stuff.
Stickiest stuff.
So if you left that out somewhere else, would bees be attracted to it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
clean it up. Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's some kind of sugar type solution, right? That's all they eat.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna pop. Don't wanna.
Try it a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't wanna. If you're gentle with bees, they're more forgiving to you.
Yeah, so you really don't want to do any like.
Sudden movements.
This is really on there. There we go.
So early in the morning after 3 cups of coffee is not a good time to do this.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
See, they're not coming out to attack you. They're
don't
actually
really
very
care.
docile. Yeah, they're very docile creatures. They're not the vicious attacker that people sometimes make them out to be.
This is so wild.
That being said, they will get annoyed with you.
I get annoyed with me, so I
Like
don't
the
blame
hive
you.
open for too long, so they might start getting annoyed, but for right now,
Oh, so each one of these black things will
Is a
come
frame.
it's a frame, yeah.
Okay.
So what we'll do, we'll take our J hook. We can wedge them in between.
Start to like help
Help lift.
Because these gloves are a little clumsy. You
Yeah.
want to smush as few bees as possible. None would be great.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch over to this side.
Yeah, come on in. This is a good angle here. Oh, here. Okay, there's a lot of nectar. More nectar.
More nectar.
More honey. Yep. Just some
I got a lot.
uncapped
Yeah, I've got a lot of open over here as well.
nectar. Yeah, they're really packing it in for the winter, so it might be hard to find some larger right now. But it's really cool to see all that honey. It's going to help sustain them through the winter.
Now you were saying that they form like a big basketball, but how do they do that?
Amongst the frames.
Ah,
Obviously
okay.
it's separated. Oops, I just got a few on my face here. This is the. Hi. This is the problem with these gloves.
Here.
You are one with the hive.
I am one with the hive right now.
It's literally just stuck with sticky. There's so much of it. It's stickier than it was the last time we went in here.
Is there any thoughts of making mead?
There is some thoughts of that, yeah.
It'll all come in time. I did try mead for the first time this year, and it's really, really good. So I would
This is
definitely
a heavy
recommend
one.
it. Oh, wow.
That is nothing but honey.
Wow, look at that.
I bet that's really heavy.
I'd say this is close to like 10 pounds, probably.
Really? That is so wild.
Yeah. Looks like that on the backside, too.
Yep.
Oh, it's solid, yeah.
Honey.
And so
More
inside of
same.
it, I'm sorry.
You can see just more honey on that one, too.
So these boxes come up apart at the seam,
Yep.
and then it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same
Okay.
thing, yeah. Yeah, you can look straight down in there and see just more frames. So in these are 10 frames per box. There's other ones where you can have 8 frames. You can do, these are what they consider deep frames.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna call it now.
Yeah.
And then you have medium frames, which is on top there. They're much shorter frames. That's usually what you use to collect your cut of honey.
Super.
I mean, you can use it. You could use deeps, but it's so heavy.
Oh,
It's not manageable.
gotcha. So if you took one of these frames into the house, like would the bees just start leaving on your walk over there and come back to the hive?
You have to try to not get as many off as possible.
They probably all try to follow you.
Hey, wait a minute, that's ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. The frames I want to push together, and she's not moving. You need to move. I don't want to crush you.
Now, I didn't notice it before, but I noticed that this frame that you built has some neat features in it, like the pieces of aluminum looks like you had there where you
Yep.
rested the...
Yep, I built that so I could actually. A lot of people will just set them. Some people will set them on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that because then you got bees all over the ground that you know step
Potential
on, or you could again potentially lose the queen to the ground.
This seems like a more civilized way to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just hangs the frame there, similar to where it's hanging in the hive.
you can tell right now. You hear it. The noise picked up.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
done with us. That's their warning.
Yeah, I can definitely hear it.
Yeah, we should be sure to see more on the bees, but it's really not that time of year for that in the audience.
But you did say that you had a video of that.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes, of the bee being born.
That's awesome.
Super cool.
So we were just talking, see these guys here, they kind of got their butts in the air and they're just fanning. Steve says they're sending out the pheromones, saying that there could be an issue at the hive with that scent. And you can definitely tell the bees had upticked in their vocalness, if you will. So it's probably a good thing we're shutting this down now. So was there an estimation when you bought the bees, how many were in the hive that you purchased? Is that even a thing, or I don't know?
Yes. Usually, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
I want to say you start with somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 bees
Wow.
in a nuke. So,
And then as the summer progresses, there's more bees that are born,
oh,
obviously.
for sure.
I mean, we only started out with one
Not even.
box.
Really?
Not even half
Well,
a,
that's
it's
true,
technically
yeah.
half a box.
Yeah.
It's only
Okay.
about 5 to 6 frames.
Yeah.
We now have 20 frames in there.
So-
And in midsummer, that was full, very little honey, and all brood.
That's crazy.
And in the height of the summer, a worker will only last 3 weeks,
Then they just die.
and then they die.
They mainly die inside of the hive, or is
They
it just...
would die everywhere. Yeah,
Okay.
you see them out.
Yeah.
You can always tell an older bee as well. The coloration will be different.
Gray hair?
They're
They're not as fuzzy.
not as
They
fuzzy.
start to lose a lot of their fuzz too.
Okay.
Their wings will be tattered. Just really work themselves to death.
Wow.
Quite a system they have going.
So it almost looks like you have room to put another set in this area. Is
We
that
do.
plans for next year or the future?
Potentially.
Possibly.
Possibly. We might do a third. I built it in this way so we had room to set equipment.
Right.
but we may have to build a separate table for that.
Well, I do have to say that what you're doing is super admirable. Bees are such an important part of the ecosystem, and without them, we wouldn't be around. So, thumbs up to you guys. That's awesome.
Thanks.
You go off to the side there. Tend not to bother.
All right, Steve, I noticed that they started hovering around the camera when I got it that close. Is there a reason for that?
They don't like dark colored things, especially if we were, I mean, twofold, the suits are white because A, you're out in the sun, but they also, being our size, if they were a dark color, we would be very similar to a bear. And bears love, they don't love honey like you might think that Winnie the Pooh does. They love the protein of the brood.
Oh,
And bears will decimate a hive on you.
wow. So is there a reason why the suits are white? Can the bees differentiate between the white and the black?
Sure can.
What about colors?
Colors, yes. I think red is the only color they have trouble with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
So I was kind of thinking that, like, I've got some land that's all wooded and stuff, but bees, they seem like they need a little more maintenance. Like, you couldn't just leave them up there.
You could.
And
You could.
you could just start it in the summer and then.
Mhm.
Really?
You could.
Really, it does just depend on what kind of
Beekeeper you want to be.
there's no right or wrong way, really.
Okay.
You could check on them every once in a while. They'll do what bees do. They know best on how to take care of their own hive. We're just kind of not even helping. Just I don't even know. I don't know.
We're just
Letting them
We're like landlords.
kind of.
kind of are. You're there to monitor, to intervene. So you,
if necessary.
if necessary. So if you like the major things that we do, we monitor them. Do they need more space? Technically, we could put another box on those guys.
Yeah.
It's a little too late in the season now, because the other thing you have to worry about is pests. If there's not enough bees in certain areas of the hive, pests will get in there and take over.
Oh, gotcha.
Take hold. So there are things as like waxy moths that love to be in there.
Yeah.
And if they get a hold, when they hatch, they just blow through all the comb and all the brood, and they'll just decimate they'll suffocate a hive. You open it up and it'll just be a silky net.
Wow.
Good job.
In summary, bees are so very important to life here on Earth. When they visit flowers to collect nectar and pollen for their own food, they also distribute pollen from one flower to another, thus ensuring that plants can reproduce. They also help to pollinate many of the vegetables that produce foods that we humans enjoy. Fruits like oranges, apples, and berries. Vegetables like cucumbers, tomatoes, and peppers. Nuts, herbs, spices, and even coffee, thank goodness. I learned that bees don't really want much to do with humans. They just want to do their own thing in peace and be left alone to do their work. I was initially a bit nervous when we were pulling the hive apart to check it out, but that quickly abated, and now I have a newfound respect for these busy little creatures. Thank you, bees.